Hi everyone, welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host David Tear, where I've been featuring my personal top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. Today I'm up to some song number 2840, and that one is She Works Hard for the Money by Donna Summer. And this was released on her album. This came out in 1983, and it was released on her 1983 album with the same title that looks almost the same. She was sort of a waitress taking orders. And this was one of her latest hits. I'll get more to this song later, but first I want to talk about Donna Summer. She had a pretty amazing career. She was born in 1948 in Boston, Massachusetts. Unfortunately, she died kind of young. She died in 2012 in Gainesville, Florida. She died of lung cancer, probably from smoking too much, I imagine. But anyway, she was very famous, especially for disco. She became known as the Queen of Disco, and she was probably the second biggest disco artist of the disco era after the Bee Gees. I think the Bee Gees were number one. Pretty much everybody knows that because of Saturday Night Fever and they just had some big disco hits. But so did Donna Summer. As a matter of fact, I think Donna Summer was earlier. She was one of the pioneers of disco, I'd say. And I'm just gonna run through her discography. So her first big hit was in 1975, and that was a disco hit. It kind of ushered in the disco era. It was called "Love to Love You, Baby." I'm just gonna go through her top 10 hits. "Love to Love You, Baby" was a huge hit worldwide. Went to number two in the USA, but I believe it went to number one in several other countries. And then she didn't really have any big hits for a while after that, at least in USA she didn't. Her next big American hit was called I Feel Love. That came out in 1977. That went to number six. And then 78, I think 78 was when her career really took off. I mean, that's when she just had several disco hits. And, 78 is not too much of a surprise because I think 78 was the height of the disco era. I mean, that was right when Saturday Night Fever was popular. I mean, people couldn't get enough disco. And I remember this. I remember 1978. I remember when disco was everywhere. And people liked it. It was kind of funny. By 79, a lot of my peers were saying disco sucks. But I think even my high school, I think most kids in my high school liked disco. When Saturday Night Fever was popular and all the disco was popular. I mean, it was just a thing. It was kind of weird. It was just a huge craze. I imagine it was kind of like the twist in '62. I don't remember that. I was born in 1962, so I don't remember the twist craze. But I think the disco craze was kind of like the late '70s version of the twist craze. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys can let me know your opinions about that. Maybe it was kind of like Beatlemania and the British invasion music of the mid '60s. There've been a number of crazes throughout, rock and roll history. I've just named three of them. Probably been a lot more, but disco was huge, and Donna Summer was a huge part of it. I'm going to continue going through her discography. So, yeah, 78, she had Last Dance, went to number three. MacArthur Park, that was her first number one. By the way, MacArthur Park was a remake. The original hit version was by a guy named Wilbur Harrison. That was also a big hit. I think that one then went to number two. She did a very different version of it. She disco-fied it. And I think I actually like her version better than the original. It's kind of a strange song. I don't even know what it's about. Uh, and then she had Heaven Knows, along with Brooklyn Dreams, and that went to number four. 79. 79 was even bigger year for her than 78. Because 79, she had this huge album called Bad Girls. Uh, I guess that was probably second to Saturday Night Fever in terms of the big, huge disco album of the year. Yeah, Bad Girls had several hits on it. It generated two more number ones for her, including Hot Stuff and Bad Girls, the title track, and also Dim All the Lights, which just missed the top spot, went to number two. So that was a huge album. And then in later in '79, she had a third number one, not on this album. I'll go back to her picture. She had a duet with Barbra Streisand called a No More Tears, or subtitled Enough is Enough. Um, as you guys probably know, Barbra Streisand was another really huge female vocalist. I don't know who was bigger. They were both kind of big in their own ways, but they had a number one duo together. And then her last big hit in '79 was On the Radio. It's called On the Radio. That went to number five. And then that's when disco kind of died at the end of 1979. I mean, her disco career died in '79, and the Bee Gees, I'd say the Bee Gees' career kind of died in '79 because the Bee Gees never revived themselves. I guess they just got so defined by disco that they couldn't really do anything else. But fortunately, Donna didn't get trapped into the disco trap. By 1980, I guess I should stay on her picture. She got in a new wave actually. The thing that kind of replaced disco in the '80s was new wave. I remember when new wave was popular. I mean, I think new wave was kind of a watered down version of punk rock. I hated punk rock when it came out, by the way. I still hate punk rock for the most part, even though I've got a few punk rock songs on my list. Most punk rock I really hate. I just think it's very violent and, very destructive. Kind of the opposite of all the peace and love from the '60s, which I identify with much better. But enough about that. I do like a lot of New Wave. New Wave was more popular, more just kind of socially acceptable. And her big New Wave hit in 1980 was called "The Wanderer," which I think is an interesting song. There was a big hit in the early '60s by Dion DiMucci, called "The Wanderer." You guys probably know it. It's coming up very, very high on my list, by the way. But today that would can be considered a pretty sexist song. I mean, basically he's bragging about how he's cruising, in his car and picking up girls left and right and just loving them and leaving them like that makes him a man. I guess that was kind of the image in the early '60s. And I think of her version of The Wanderer as kind of an answer record to that, where she's now the female wanderer. You'd have to hear this song. I like it. I like it, actually. Uh, and then in '82, she had a song called Love is in Control, Finger on the Trigger. That made it to number 10. And then '83, she had the song I'm featuring today, She Works Hard for the Money. That went all the way to number three. And her only other top 10 hit, she released in 1989, that was called This Time I Know It's For Real. I'm not even familiar with that song. But anyway, I think Donna Summer was a pretty great artist. Even though I kind of stopped liking disco too in '79, now I think I can appreciate it more again. And we OD'd on disco. I think that was the problem with disco. We just had way, way too much of it. But I don't have anything per se against disco. I mean, it is kind of superficial. But then a lot of other rock trends were too. The twist was pretty superficial too, I think. And there were other crazy dance crazes like the Frug and I don't know, the limbo rock. It was just kind of all fun and games, most of it. So I think disco kind of falls in the same ball wax. But now I want to talk about the song "She Works Hard for the Money." I remember when the video came out. MTV was very popular in the early '80s when this song became a hit. And I remember the video. I thought it was a very powerful video. It's about this working woman, this poor working woman. I guess she's working at several temp jobs or part-time jobs. She's having a really rough time because she's dreaming. At the very beginning of the video, she's having a dream about dancing, but then she wakes up to her harsh reality. She struggles to get ready and go to work, and barely has time for breakfast, and then she goes between these horrible jobs, between being a waitress and being a seamstress, and I don't even remember what else. I think she was a cleaning lady. And she just has a really rough time, and she's trying to support two kids. I think she's divorced because they never show her husband. Um, but then finally, after she can barely take it anymore, she just goes out in the street in New York City and starts dancing in the street, stopping traffic. And I think that scene was taken from the movie Fame. And there's an excellent movie called Fame where they do the same thing. I don't want to say too much about that movie, but it's basically a movie about uh, Broadway, the arts of Broadway, including dancing. And then when she starts dancing in the street, all these other women start dancing in the street along with her. I guess the point of that was she wasn't alone in her plight. There were a lot of other frustrated working women who also wanted to dance, and so they all start dancing, and it becomes a big party at the end of the movie. I mean, at the end of the video. So I think it was a good song and a good video and a powerful message. And like I said, I do really like Donna Summer. I might have put this song too low on my list, but I have a lot of other songs by Donna Summer coming up. So anyway, I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching. You guys rock. Just put my little plug in for Obama. I can't really imitate him. I wish I could. Thank you for your attention anyway. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.